You know, you pour paint, and that's it. You pour the paint.
Here we go. We're gonna breathe in ocean blue, out mustard yellow. I cannot control this craft. However, it turns out it will be beautiful.
It will control me.
Yes, yes.
Control me.
Hey, I'm Dennis.
I'm Andrew.
Today we are going to be talking all about paint pour.
Now, if you're wondering what is paint pour, it kind of is exactly how it sounds. You pour paint onto something and it creates art.
It really does have a life of its own, so you have to kind of let go of any of that self-criticism and just let the magic happen.
Yes.
Let the paint pouring
Let the paint pouring begin.
So now paint pour has become so popular over the last couple of months that now they actually sell paint pour kits to make it really easy for you.
Yeah, and the great thing about having a paint pour kit is that they pick all the colors for you so they know what's gonna work and what's not. But the difference between, let's just say, acrylic paint and a paint pour that you already buy in a bottle is this is going to be a thinner paint, so it's going to be a little more fluid on the canvas. You can't just take acrylic and throw it onto a canvas or drip it onto a canvas. It's not going to do very much.
Yes, and actually we'll be showing how to do that later in this video.
Yes, so should we get started? I feel like sometimes it's easier just to kind of jump in instead of explaining things.
Yes.
First thing you want to do is put something on your table because the paint is going to drip. So you just want to make sure that you have paper underneath here. We have a couple of trash bags. You just want to make sure that it's not going to seep through. We're going to be paint pouring on a canvas today, and here is a pro tip. Flip over your canvas and use push pins. Put one in every corner, and that's just going to elevate the canvas a little bit so the paint doesn't puddle around the edge. You do want to make sure that your tacks are pretty level to each other because you do want to have a level surface just so your paint pour doesn't all drip to one side. Okay, this is a method called the dirty pour, and we're actually doing a dirty pour with a flip as well. This is a fun one. I think this is a really great beginner one because it gives like a great end result and it's really easy to do. Now for a dirty pour, you're gonna need a plastic cup, and what you're gonna do is we're gonna layer our paint into the cup. Now here's a good pro tip. When you start to layer your paint, just like if you were pouring a beer or a soda, tilt your cup a little bit. Yes. It's gonna allow them to kind of settle into each other and give you a layered effect instead of all kind of mixing into one.
How much paint are you
For a piece like this, we're gonna need about 2 ounces of paint. So I'm gonna try to eyeball it. That's about halfway. I might do a little more. I think it's always better to have a little more paint than a little less. And if you have extra paint, what you can do is do this in a jar and then seal the jar, and then it'll last for, I don't know, a while,
your next paint.
So your next paint pour. The more you layer, the more intricate your pour is gonna look in the end. So I like to take my time and just do a lot of layers. I am a little nervous. I feel like...
Yes, but that's what I'm saying. You gotta let go of that. You can't control it, you know?
I know.
And beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So a piece to you that looks horrible might look so beautiful to someone else. And the best thing too about paint pour is that if you're not happy with the way it looks after it dries, you can do a new paint pour right on top of an old paint pour. So you don't have to run out and buy more canvases, start all over. You can just do it right on the same canvas.
Now, for a dirty pour, you could just pour this right on top of your canvas, but today we are going to do a flip method. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna...
It's actually called the flip cup method.
Is it?
Flip cup. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Still play it.
Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my canvas and put it on top and have the cup as centered in the canvas as possible. And then, okay, this is it, everybody.
This is it.
Deep breath, there's no going back. Okay, ready? Okay. And as you see, it needs a little help. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to start to move the canvas just so the paint covers the canvas.
There might be more in the cup too that you can just kind of sporadically like
Actually, that's a good tip. You know, there is some in the cup. I'm gonna actually just do these corners. I would say the corners are the trickiest part of the canvas to get. So when you can just add a little, and you know, I'm not seeing a lot of the blue. Can you hand me the blue? Mm-hmm. Pour me a little blue, like right in here. I'm just gonna add it.
How long do you have to manipulate it before it starts to set up?
The great thing about paint pouring is you have a while. I would say you probably have a good 25, 30 minutes to just kind of play with it before it really starts to set.
You can see we get a lot of movement here from the paint. You know, so your instinct might be to fill up the cup completely, but you can see the paint is really moving. And of course you can always just add a little squirt here and there to fill in any spaces. I like this kit specifically because it reminds me of the solar system or outer space.
Yes. Also, when I saw this kit, I was like, these are not the colors I gravitate towards, but I'm really glad we picked it because it is, I think it's just like a really fun psychedelic look. And this is not how it's gonna fully look. The paint pour, it really does take its course as it dries.
It looks good.
Yeah. Okay, now I'm not seeing any air bubbles in this, but we are going to add some heat just to get rid of the air bubbles. So what you want to do is put it on a low setting just so it doesn't shift the paint.
Yes, and we're actually using a hair dryer for this. We've seen a lot of people use a flame, a torch to kind of light it up quickly, but you get the same result with a heat gun or a hair dryer. The one thing is you just don't want to hold it in one spot. You know, you want to be moving it all around the painting like in a consistent
Yeah, and it doesn't need
movement.
much. It doesn't need
Yeah, it doesn't.
much.
Just
Wait, that's high. There we go.
You can see the air bubbles coming up to the surface here. Looks good, right?
Yeah.
Once you're kind of done with your swirling and your movement, you want to set it in an area that's not going to get a lot of traffic because it will collect dust or cat hair. So if it's in a room, you can either cover it with a box or something like that, or
Yes.
you know, just put it in a room that doesn't
have
really...
like a fan, doesn't have air conditioner.
There
Yeah,
you
you
go.
really just don't want it to get any dust. Looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Clap.
That was terrifying. This looks so great. We're gonna set it aside to dry, but we already made one yesterday that came out looking so fabulous.
I
A
love
kit
this.
is great for beginners.
But we are going to step it up a notch. We're going to show you how to mix your own acrylic paint with paint pour medium so you can customize your own color palette.
Yes, we're even gonna use a new paint pour technique, and we also have a few other tricks up our sleeves. Huh? They're short sleeves. There's not that many tricks.
I looked up my sleeve as a joke.
Now you're going to see the real artist at work.
Where?
Oh, prove it. All right, now we're going to take it up a notch and we're going to be mixing our own paint pour medium. Really simple. They sell a pre-made pour medium that you just add to acrylic paint. This is acrylic paint that we got at the craft store, really inexpensive, a wide variety of different colors that you can use. When choosing colors, you want to keep it easy. You don't want more than 3 or 4 colors.
And if you're having trouble picking a color, think of things on the same side of the color wheel or colors that mix well together.
So when mixing your craft acrylic paint, it's a 1-to-1 ratio. So we have 2 ounces of craft paint in here. So we want 2 ounces of paint pour medium. So I've already pre-measured. I know where my 2-ounce line is. So I'm just gonna pour all of my medium in the cup here. Now that we have our paint pour medium in the cups, it's time to add our paint. And like I said, we're doing a 1-to-1 ratio. So these are all 2 ounces. So you can start helping me there. And we wanna add all the paint to the cup. And you could uncap it too if you need to.
I like to squirt it.
And if you can, you want to kind of go slow here to reduce air bubbles. You know, you don't want a lot of air bubbles in your work. And actually, when you're mixing your own custom colors here, you are going to want to start with the base layer of white acrylic paint. So we actually have an extra cup here with the paint pour medium, and I'm going to add just plain white acrylic paint to it, the same 1-to-1 ratio, because that's where we want to start.
And you know, you don't have to add white, but it really does help the colors pop. So we really recommend it. I do think that's a good pro tip.
Yeah, so we're just gonna mix this up and mix that up slowly.
Okay.
So we're just mixing these till we get a nice, smooth, consistent color. We don't want any lumps or bumps. All right, now to level up our paint pour a little more, we're gonna add what's called a silicone medium to each cup here. We only want about 3 to 4 to 5 drops in each cup. And this specific lubricant is a treadmill belt lubricant. It's just 100% silicone, and that's gonna really help bring out those beautiful cells and give our paint pour more dimension, more life, and it just really kind of amps up the piece.
Yes, because what the silicone's going to do, it's going to travel up and it's going to push the paint. So you're going to see paint underneath it.
Yeah, they call that in the paint pour world cells.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay, so just about 2 or 3 drops, 5 drops, and we're gonna mix that up.
Nice and slowly again.
Yep. And I did not add it to the white. I just added it to my colors here.
And you could pick and choose which colors you want. They don't all have to have it, but why not?
Okay, so we're gonna start with our white layer here. I'm just gonna pour it, and for this paint pour, I'm doing what they call a Dutch style pour, which is essentially just kind of vibing with your paint pour, pouring it where you think it needs more color, and then just kind of keep going as you're working.
I like that.
Yeah.
And again, what this base color is going to do is it's going to help move all that paint around as we turn everything.
And the consistency you're going for when you're creating your own paint pour is you want like a chocolate syrup type of, or a warm honey type of consistency. And now I'm just using a brush just to kind of cover the entire canvas here from corner to corner, edge to edge with my white base layer. Okay, that looks pretty good. And now we're gonna paint pour.
Good luck.
Thank you, here we go. Deep breath in, out. Rid yourself of self-criticism.
Yes, you have no
Go
control.
for it, yes. Okay, I'm gonna start. And I'm just gonna swirl it right on, just cover this color.
Sure.
You know, you can kind of map this out ahead of time or just kind of go for it.
I don't know if it really matters too much.
You can kind of think of your paint pour here and, you know, kind of decide, maybe you want an area that has a little more, you know, mustard color here, so you can pour a little more, maybe a little more in the center. You know, there's really no wrong way to do this. And as I'm pouring, I am trying to kind of avoid pouring directly over where I just poured. I want to pour in a space where there's, you know, not that much color there.
And that's just for this method, because there's plenty of methods where you pour directly on top of the last layer.
So now to help it along, we have our hair dryer. So I'm actually gonna give it a blast with the hair dryer on a cool setting, just to kind of get the movement going, and then I'm gonna swirl it, swirl it, swirl it, until it creates a masterpiece. Do you have to hold this? I wouldn't know how to use a hair dryer. Now we can kind of just see what we're working with here. And again, we just want to go for full coverage of our paint pour. And you could already see they have these beautiful cells from the silicone popping up. See all this here? That's
All
what they
those
call
circles,
cells.
You feel like you need a lot of artistic ability to do that?
No, no. I feel like you need very little artistic ability. I think really picking the right colors is kind of half the battle, and then not over mixing it. So not, if you spin it too many times, it's gonna really just start to kind of get a little too muddy. So I think if you have a little control on that and you pick the right colors, I don't know if there's that much artistic ability involved with it. What do you think?
I agree. What do you say? Awesome.
looks really
so once
good.
you're happy with the way it looks, we're actually going to take our hot setting and just kind of run it over like we did before to remove any air bubbles. And actually the heat of the hair dryer is really going to help bring out the cells from the silicone. And you know, the best tip is if it's not good, just tell people it's good and they'll believe you.
It's true. Tell people it's good.
Yeah.
This is beautiful.
This is so good. It actually is very beautiful.
It is.
No, I
Okay.
think it's cute. I think it's cute.
All right, so we're gonna let this paint pour dry for 24 hours, and remember, it's gonna do its thing while it dries, so it's not fully gonna look like this. Remember, don't have any air blowing on it so it doesn't get any dust particles or hair on it.
Yes, and once it dries, it looks something like this. So cool.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, now that this is done, I would give it another 24 hours. The silicone is gonna rise to the top and it's gonna leave a little bit of a greasy residue. What you can do is take a paper towel with a little bit of dish soap and wipe it off, and then wash it again with just a very little bit of water, just so you get that greasy residue off. And then you can seal your work. Now, this is optional. Sealing will bring the colors out a little bit more. It'll also give you a finish that is fully smooth if you have any indents like we do, but that's totally optional as well.
Yes, for us, the texture means it was made with love, it was handmade, and it
love
makes
that.
it extra special that way. And that's paint pour like a pro, but we want to hear from you. Have you tried paint pour before? We want to hear your tips in a comment below.
Yes, and let us know, are there any tools, techniques, trends that you want us to tackle next? Because we want to try it.
Yes, give us a like, subscribe, and we hope to see you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Should we do like
Oh my God, I
like
was thinking.
smashing? Oh,
I was thinking that, could we?
like we just smash it over each other's heads? Yeah?